Yeah, get it out. I am back, talking about Destiny again. He can't criticize it! He barely even finished the Sepix Prime strike! Truth. I am not the most seasoned Guardian in the galaxy, but the vast majority of you understand that my consistent Destiny bashing is largely tongue-in-cheek. I am sincere in criticizing the game, but the cheap shots I throw around aren't as much motivated by a hatred for the game as they are by my enjoyment of nerds getting uptight about it. When it comes to Destiny, I have more often aimed my punches at comedy rather than sincere criticism. And thus my criticisms have tugged on the low-hanging fruit and not the root of the tree.
Ah, nice metaphor, f***it.
Why, thank you. And now I'm kicking myself because I saw one of those great videos recently that gives you a type of epiphany moment. A simple explanation that gives your brain that rush of a new realization and prompts you to ask yourself, why didn't I think of that? The video was sent to me by my friend Lurker0, both the video and his channel linked in the description. It's an editorial journalism type piece from Danny O'Dwyer at GameSpot called Destiny, the hardcore gamer's slot machine. It's one of those videos everyone in the gaming community should just see, no matter what your opinion is on the game. The central allegation is that Destiny has been designed with the psychological study of addiction and addictive behavioral reward systems in mind. The game is designed, according to O'Dwyer, not to be an enriching game experience, but rather an addictive gambling experience akin to a slot machine. Now, that is a speculative and pernicious claim, admittedly, so please understand I am not presenting that as fact, but it's a claim that intrigued me because it explains some contradictory facts about Destiny I hadn't put sincere thought toward explaining. See, to me, there are two very obvious but contradictory facts about Destiny. One, Destiny's biggest problem, according to many critics, is a lack of depth. Now, that's admittedly a subjective claim, but professional reviews consistently reference a lack of depth and the repetitive nature of the game as a flaw in its design. So for the sake of this discussion, let's grant that criticism as objectively fair. Two, in spite of that lack of content, Destiny gets the Guinness World Record for the cost of development, $500 million. Now that's a disputed figure between Activision and Bungie, but let's assume the Activision CEO's estimate of $500 million is accurate. Now of course that's a lot of money, but compared to what? Consider the production budgets of these summer blockbuster films. Jurassic World at $150 million. Avengers Age of Ultron, $280 million. Guardians of the Galaxy, $196 million. If Destiny was a $500 million movie, it'd be the most expensive movie ever produced, even adjusting the cost of past movies for inflation. So how is it possible for those two facts to be simultaneously true? How can what could be the most singularly expensive entertainment production of all time be knocked in reviews for lacking content and depth compared to its far less expensive peers? Surely the shallowness couldn't have been due to a lack of resources. If it wasn't a lack of resources to blame, we're left to assume the game was intended to be exactly the way it was on shipment. Just enough material to hook the consumer on pulling the slot machine arm or scratching the ticket, while saving more pulls or scratches for added cost later. It's simple psychology, as O'Dwyer explains.
John explains it best when he references B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning experiments in which they managed to replicate the behaviors of humans using slot machines in a casino with pigeons looking for food, not just by giving them rewards, but by varying when the rewards are given.
It was like scratching a lottery ticket or pulling a one-armed bandit. That's because the variable ratio schedule is the same technique used on millions of computerized slot machines around the world.
Now, it's speculative and cynical to assume this much malice on the parts of Activision and or Bungie, to assume they've spent their time researching player motivation and strategies to develop addiction rather than game content. But it's hardly unreasonable to make that assumption given the facts. Honestly, if we assume the Activision figure of $500 million for development is accurate, as my friend Lurker asks, where did all that money go? Even the most devoted of Destiny fans wouldn't suggest the majority of that money went to game development. There are far less expensive games with far more content. We know Destiny was heavily advertised, but to what degree? Even the most expensive ad imaginable, a 30-second Super Bowl spot, will set you back less than $5 million. For $500 million, Activision could have bought out every single advertising minute from any recent Super Bowl. So if the money didn't go to the content of the game, and the money didn't go to advertising, at least in full, is it possible that much of the budget for Destiny went toward a design with the goal of addicting the player and milking him for money in mind? Just like O'Dwyer, I ask not because I want to on Destiny. I honestly wish it was a great game. O'Dwyer states it perfectly, so I'll let him take it away.
I don't want this to work. I have nothing against Bungie or Activision, but there's enough of this skeezy psychological game design bullshit happening in the world. If this is the future of AAA development, then I worry for the future of AAA development. In any case, I'm choosing not to indulge this type of game design practices, and that really is of my own free will.
Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this series. Please do go check out that video in the description and let me know what you think. Always appreciate the thoughtful comments and discussion below, and on Twitter at skag_3. I'm promoting O'Dwyer's video because I think it's something any gaming consumer should watch, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I'm not out to bash, I'm out to get us as consumers to think a bit. Is it possible Destiny is designed as a slot machine? If it is, do you find that ethically troubling? Or maybe there's nothing inherently wrong with that game design approach? Let me know and we'll discuss. Okay,
Thanks.
bye.